T minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we have liftoff. You are tuned into the Charlie Rocket Show. That is the pending title because I do not have a title. I thought about different titles like Charlie Make Up Your Bed or Getting High on Coffee with Charlie. I kind of like that one a little bit. Well, I have an amazing show for you planned today. This is my first podcast. I was going to do it on a portable microphone where I could walk around. I went to Guitar Center last night after talking to a couple of my friends, and I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. And this is my idea. I'm gonna be in bed, and I'm going to put the podcast on my shirt. Put the microphone on my shirt. And I'm literally going to go through my morning routine with everybody every morning. And it's going to be the only wake-up show that's truly a wake-up show. It's literally the first thoughts that come into my head every single morning. And every other wake-up show that claims to be a wake-up show is perpetrating. Because they're not actually waking up when they're recording the show. So I went to Guitar Center, bought my microphone, told all my friends, I'm going to do this. And my friends, they're used to getting calls from me about all my crazy ideas about at least once, twice a week. And, I think some of them just roll their eyes at me because there's something interesting we all do. We all show to the world an avatar of what we want the world to see from us instead of who we truly are. And I've been craving a medium where I could just be my authentic self and not give just the avatar. Now, the avatar doesn't mean that's not who I am. That's just mean, like when you follow me on Instagram or you see me on interviews, I'm displaying just one part of myself, and I've curated and narrated that character of how I want to be portrayed. And I said to myself, I am just wanting to let loose and have a medium where I could just wake up and speak exactly what's on my mind. And so you can get into my head of all the crazy things. And in reality, guys, I am a little crazy. I'm all over the place. I'm a little wild. I'm a little goofy. And it frustrates. Only my friends know this. Like if you lived on the Dream Machine with me when we're biking across America, you could ask Adrian, you could ask Scott. I am maybe the most off the wall. I'm off the wall. And I wanted to do a podcast where I could be off the wall and just get into my thoughts. So, long story short, the microphone that clips onto my shirt was not working this morning. For some reason, I just bought it last night. Did not work. So here I am sitting down like a conventional podcast at a table with a microphone, not moving. I don't like it. I want to be moving. I want to get out of bed. I want to get in my car. I want to go to Starbucks. I want to create a podcast as I'm going through my morning, and I want it to be real, and I want it to get out the thoughts that are in my head. So let's keep it moving. This is going to be an absolutely incredible show, you guys. This is Charlie Rocket, a.k.a. CEO Charlie, a.k.a. your favorite astronaut, a.k.a. formerly Cadillac Chuck, knick-knack, paddywhack, Chucky had a Cadillac. Yes, I was in hip-hop. 2 lakhs. I used to have 2 Cadillacs. The first one I bought when I was in high school, it was a 1979 Cadillac Coupe de Ville. And then I bought other Cadillacs, and I was always known as 2 lakhs because I managed 2 chains, and I was 2 lakhs, and I was Cadillac Chuck, Buckhead Chuck. Now I'm Charlie Rocket, a.k.a. the world's favorite astronaut. And I am now about to be the world's favorite podcaster. And there was something that was on my mind this morning, and it was Carmelo Anthony. I don't know if you watch the news or not or care about sports, but this is not about sports. This is about legacy. Carmelo Anthony, 34 years old, future Hall of Famer, and his legacy is going down the drain. If Carmelo Anthony were to call Charlie Rocket today and said, Charlie, I need some advice. There's all these people in sports telling me I need to retire so I can protect my legacy. I'm in a tough spot. If I were to retire right now, I would go out on a loss, but ultimately my career was a win. But I would be going out on a loss. And if I retired, would I be a coward? Or do I stay playing the game, maybe go to some other team and jump around from team to team, trying to figure this whole thing out, just trying to save face? Because I'm only 34 years old, but I want to have a better legacy. What should I do, Charlie? And I was thinking about that this morning. Legacy is the most important thing that we all have. And if you take a Carmelo Anthony, I mean, he has stigmas and asterisks beside his name. I mean, he's known as somebody who's got a big ego, as a cancer to a team, somebody who is one-dimensional, doesn't want to work hard, doesn't have a positive attitude. And I think everybody has lost hope in him because we've watched him for 12 years, 15 years, be the same person and never change. So here you go. You have Tracy McGrady giving Carmelo Anthony advice saying, just retire, take your losses. If I was Carmelo, I would not know how to take Tracy McGrady's advice. I would not know how to go out on a negative note. Now, granted, I've retired before. I retired from music. I managed 2 Chainz for 10 years, and I did quit. But I didn't quit to do nothing. I quit to reinvent my life. Now, I don't know if Carmelo Anthony wants to do anything else but play basketball. So if I were Carmelo, I would quit everything that didn't have to do with being great at this sport. I would not retire from basketball. I would get rid of all my negative friends. I would get rid of my negative mindset. I would get rid of everything. I would be the first to wake up, the last to leave. I would literally go get mentorship from the strongest coaches, mental coaches in the world, and I would have to remove the stigma. I would have one goal. You will not look at me as somebody who was lazy, somebody who just relied on the one dimension of scoring. I know nobody thinks I can play defense. Nobody thinks I can have blocks and steals and rebounds. I'm going to remove that stigma, and the last thing you are going to remember from me, Charlie Carmelo Rocket Anthony, would be that guy took something that was just good and completely, at age 34, reinvented his whole brand name to be something that's great. That's something I think about a lot of times. Brand name. I was sitting in a classroom with, it was like a motivational speaking event, and we're all sitting there with our notebooks, and I was slouched over, and I was looking at my phone, not paying attention, and I thought to myself, what is my brand name? Right now, my brand name would be Walmart shoes. In comparison to Nike shoes. Nike shoes would be sitting up straight, participating, focused, intense, intentional. It's got this brand name about itself that has this worth. But instead, I'm sitting here looking like a slouch. If somebody were to look at me, they would look at me like how they look at Walmart shoes. Like, oh, those are cheap. Those aren't highly desired. Those aren't going to be for great performance. The greats don't look like that. And if I were Carmelo Anthony, I'd be thinking about my brand name and my brand name only. How do people look at me? And how do I reverse that? At age 34, I think it would be the most amazing comeback story of all time. Doesn't matter if he wins. It matters how much people see him transform his life. He's got maybe 3-4 years left of good playing left in him, and he could turn it around. That's what I would do if I was Carmelo Anthony. I would reinvent my entire life and not base it on the wins, but base it on what people remember me as when I leave. If I've got 3 years left, I'm going to dig in for the last 3 years, get rid of everything. Nothing else matters. No parties, no friends, no nothing. Nothing else matters except reversing my legacy, because when it's done, that's all we're left with. And I think he's in an amazing situation. Anytime something is extremely dark, it allows for a little light to shine so bright. It's hard for a little light to shine bright when there's a lot of light, but when it's dark, and where Carmelo Anthony is at right now is extremely dark, all he has to do is reinvent who he is. Carmelo, if you're listening to this, don't retire. Don't listen to Tracy McGrady. Don't go out like a coward. Reinvent everything you are, and it will teach all of us something about ourselves, because as we get older, we get stuck in our ways, and it is harder than ever to change when we become these creatures of habits, and it's ingrained in us, and we become these robots of ourselves. So I'm not going to go on anymore about Carmelo, but that is what I took from it. If I was in his spot, I would not quit. I would reinvent. There are things in my life right now to keep it moving that I'm going through. You know, I'm always very open and honest, and one of the current things is being told no. In my business, I walked away from my business that made money to pursue my dream of becoming an athlete and to living a life that I wanted to live, to inspire people and help people. And here I am, sitting at my kitchen table with a microphone, wanting to inspire people. I made a list of 100 podcasts that I wanted to appear on, and I messaged each one of them. A lot said yes. So many said no. So many just ignored me. If you told me, Charlie, you're not a big enough celebrity, we don't want to have you on, it's not good timing, get your followers up a little bit, etc., etc. I've been trying to get in touch with Joe Rogan for 11 months, and I got to meet one of his good friends, Eric Weinstein. And I'm the type, I really, really want it. Like, if I have a goal, okay, so I'm starting my business, right? Let's call what you're hearing now my business. I create a list. Let's call it the Dream 100. Okay, so I pull out my whiteboard and I make a list of every podcast that I want to be on. And if I get told no, they're going to have to tell me no 20 times. That needs to be my mindset. There's it's either they buy, die, or cry. What that means is they're either going to say yes. I'm going to ask them so many times for so long that they just die and they can't answer the question anymore. Or they cry and say, Charlie, please stop messaging me. But this is the mindset we have to go. And it's really, really hard when you're somebody to humble yourself to be a nobody. I wonder if Carmelo would have to go through that. Because he is somebody. He's a future Hall of Famer. But in order for him to get where he wants to go, he literally has to change his mindset to where he's a nobody. For example, with me, I've won Grammys, world tours, have big multi-million-dollar businesses, and yet here I am begging Lewis Howes for the 15th time, I really think I would be great on your podcast. And he says, My audience is more interested in having like the Kobe Bryants of the world and the Oprahs of the world. And I'm like, I totally understand that. And a week later, I hit him up again. And a week later, I hit him up again. And then I run into him at an event and I say, please. And I get told no every single time. And that is extremely, it will almost have you thinking that if you are an eagle, that you are a chicken. I know that didn't come out right, but I know I'm an eagle. I know I'm special. But this is the process. This is the process, and I've gotten so used to being told no, and I get into that mind space that, okay, no can't affect me anymore. Because I'm going to expect it. I'm going to expect it 20 times, and I don't have to worry about where I'm at because I know where I'm going. So if I know what the finish line looks like, and I'm confident that I'm going to be okay, I'm going to make it. So if I'm told no, I don't have to worry. And I'm just going to work my way up and work my way up. And I had an epiphany yesterday. I was like, being told no sucks. It really sucks. And all these big guys, and I'm going after all the big guys. And I'm like, what if I reached my hand back and there was somebody who was just starting a podcast and would never be able to get an interview from somebody like myself? What if I can help them get their interview and get them launched as a podcast so that they can interview other people? Because that person might be the next Joe Rogan, to where I'm just looking at working with Joe Rogan because he's the biggest. But what if I help the next person become Joe Rogan, and then I have a strong relationship and I was a part of that story? There's one person in hip hop that really, really inspires me and who does this, and his name is Drake. He is arguably the biggest artist in the world right now. And yet, he's also the first artist who always gets on the new artist songs first. The medium-sized artists never get on the new artist songs as fast as Drake does. Drake always reinvents himself through somebody who's new and young. Take, for example, he was the first big artist to get on 2 Chainz' record. He was the first big artist to get on Future's songs. He was the first big artist to get on Migos songs. He was the first artist. Like, there's an artist out of Memphis named Block Boy JB. We had never heard of him. He gave Block Boy JB a #1 song in the country, and Drake is huge, and yet he's discovering these tiny little artists somewhere, and he platforms them and blows them up. Is that why he stays on top? It could be. What do we need to learn from that? What do I need to learn from that? I'm sitting here chasing Joe Rogan, which is good. It's fine. That's business. Chase the big. But if we don't chase the small, we might not reinvent ourselves. The person who's only chasing the big guys is probably going to get replaced by somebody who's hungry, because there's only so many big guys in the game. But the person who's soaking up those new fan bases, I think about it a lot like with my fan base. I have a very, very rabid, hardcore, die-hard fan base. Now, granted, I only have 100,000 followers on Instagram, but my fan base is intense. My interaction is intense. I'm on deck. I'm the next Joe Rogan because my fan base cares about me so much. It's just I'm new. It's just like at one time Drake was small and Lil Wayne was big, but Drake passed Lil Wayne. And Lil Wayne put him on, but Drake passed him. And everybody gets replaced. Like Michael Jordan did get old and he got replaced. He got replaced by Kobe and LeBron. LeBron is going to get old and he's going to get replaced. This is a young man's game. And I always have to remember that. And you always have to remember that if we get too caught up in clout chasing in our businesses, where we're only focused on just the big things, we're going to lose. So yesterday I made an Instagram post and I said, I'm going to reach my hand back. For every no I get from one of these big guys, I'm going to do a tiny little podcast that just needs a shot. Because for me, I'm starting a podcast. And it is scary. I will tell you this, talking into a microphone when nobody is sitting in front of you, nobody is asking you questions. This is one of the most difficult things I've done in my life. Let me tell you, I bought this microphone 9 months ago. I looked at it every day. It's mind-blowing how difficult it is talking into a microphone without structure. And if I could help somebody get the confidence to kickstart their podcast, it might change their life. And if I change enough people's lives, I'm always going to be protected because I know what it's like to start off and to be nothing, and to be told no. But I'm focused on that finish line. And there's something that happened to me last night where I said, I'm going to get over this. And honestly, it was the no's that are firing me up. If let's say, for instance, I'm a superhero. A superhero has no reason to get out of bed unless there's an enemy. So sometimes it's good to be told no. And that might be God's way of saying, you know what? I got a plan. I'm going to have these people say no to you just so you're so fired up, just so you reach your hand back and help some other small ones. And then when you reach your hand back and you're communicating with all the small guys, now you feel like you have a tribe because you're really in the same position as they are, Charlie. Here I am talking onto the microphone for the very first time, scared to death. Before this take, I had 15, 20 other episodes that I just deleted because they were terrible. They were absolutely terrible, and things went wrong. My headset, my lava mic wouldn't work. The little mic, the lapel mic didn't work. And then I went to Starbucks and I tried to record in the car and it was too noisy. And then I got home and I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm going to overcome my fear and I'm going to just dig in and act like I'm nothing. I'm going to start my podcast. I'm going to get more focused. I'm going to wake up earlier. I'm going to be told no more. I'm going to hustle my way up. I'm going to be nothing today. I'm going to be nothing. And that being nothing, that being told no, that starting from scratch, when you're somebody and to start from scratch is the most humbling thing you could ever do. But that's what people remember, and that's what I'm interested in doing. That's what I think you should do. That's what I think Carmelo Anthony should do. And it's that name brand. I made a sheet of paper. I'm gonna pull it out real quick. I did this about a year ago. Give me 1 second. That day, I was sitting in the classroom and I was talking about my name brand with myself. What is my name brand? I was slouching. I wasn't focused. And I said, what is my name brand going to be? And I made a list. And it's in this sheet of paper. And name brand. After I wrote this, and I would be working out, I would say to myself, brand name. I'd be running, brand name. Brand name, what am I known as? And I said, what is my name brand? The most fit, the most healthy, the most focused, the motivator, the most positive, hardcore intense, does amazing things, a gentleman, puts thought into everything, known to sacrifice to be great, wakes up first, goes over and beyond, shows up first, beast mode, gives everyone his best, never distracted, and never fazed by temptation. That is what I desired my name brand to be. What is Carmelo's name brand? Arrogant, egotistic, one-dimensional. He's phasing out in his career where he's not as athletically gifted. So to overcome what his brand is currently is going to take a complete reinvention. And maybe you have a name brand reinvention that you need to experience in your life right now. If there was somebody in the news commentating about you and what your brand is, what would they say? What would you want them to say? Pull out a sheet of paper and write out what you want your name brand to be. Are you going to be Walmart shoes? Or are you going to be Nike? Or are you going to be Louboutin red bottoms? We can create what our name brand is. I had a name brand of somebody who is out of control. 300 pounds, sick, didn't have his life together. Disgusting. And I wanted to be known as the most fit, the most positive, the first to show up, puts thought into everything. Glowing, radiating. I wanted to reinvent my life, and yes, I did something radical. I walked away and I got rid of everything. I think Carmelo Anthony should walk away from everything that's negative in his life and focus on his legacy for his last few years. And maybe you need to do the same. What an amazing podcast. This is the first one. It came out better than I expected. I got in a little zone there and I started feeling it, and I got over my fear of talking into a microphone by myself. What should the name of this podcast be? That's the question. Should it be Charlie, Make Up Your Bed? Or Rocket Radio? Or should it be High on Coffee with Charlie Rocket? I like that.